Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Tales from the Podcast. Before we go ahead and get started real quick, definitely want to say thank you to House of Mysterious Secrets, and you can check them out over at houseofmysterioussecrets.com. Use our code 4130, save 10% on awesome horror merch. So check them out. Go ahead and, if you're watching this, you're obviously going to be pretty fucking excited to see some of the shit they got going on over there. Also, we are sponsored by my friend Sydney, who goes and puts out these wax melts. So check them out. Use our code TFTP20, save 20% on your whole order there. Let's be honest, you're going to buy that kind of shit anyway. Why not buy some really cool horror designs, save a little bit of money, and help out a friend of mine. And last but not least, go over to talesfromthepodcast.com, buy this comic book. Or don't. I don't give a fuck. I would suggest buying it because it's like what the cool kids do. But if you want to be a piece of shit, don't buy it. Now to get on with the episode, returning for another episode because of our profound love of John Lithgow. Let's go ahead and introduce the guest for this week, my buddy Jeff from Skewered Universe Podcast.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm here. I'm feeling good, so yeah, I can't. I'd say it again. I can't complain. I mean, I could, but
that's yeah. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad at you if you did.
No,
right?
we got some fun tales from the Crypt, so I'm a happy man.
Well, I'm happy to hear you say that, and I guess let's just go ahead and jump right into it this week, dude. So this week, we are talking about the episode You Murderer, which is episode 15 of season 6, the last episode of season 6. Mm-hmm. And this one originally aired January 25th of 1995. I was just talking to Jeff beforehand. I remember when this one aired. I watched this one back in the day. I was 6, but I remember this one very, very clearly. Because it was kind of a early on version for me, because keep in mind my age, of like found footage style recording, that POV kind of shot. Because you're getting it all shot like that. So, it was just something I never fucking forgot. And other than that, though, I mean, this is based off of You Murderer from Shock Suspense Stories, issue number 14. And I'm going to tell you right now, dude, we have a pretty killer ensemble of people associated with this episode, dude. So it was directed by Robert Zemeckis. Probably best known for stuff like, I don't know, little movies like Back to the Future, Forrest Gump. I mean, the dude's basically done so much shit. It's fucking insane.
It really is.
He's worked on basically anything and everything that was worth the fuck. And then his career directing as well as producing is just incredible. He did Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Mm-hmm. What else? A ton of this stuff. Huh?
I said Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I always liked it, but for some reason I always thought Cool World was more fun.
See, I haven't seen Cool World, so.
Oh, I don't know. It was just one of those I really liked. But he also did like Castaway, Beowulf, and then once you start getting into some of the stuff he's produced, it's like that's when shit kind of gets crazy because he's done Perversions of Science, The Frighteners, Weird World, House on Haunted Hill, 13 Ghosts. I mean, this guy's been attached to basically. If you grew up in the 90s or like 2000s or even the late 80s and you watched something and you thought it was good, Robert Zemeckis probably had his hand in it. So,
Yeah, yeah. Like
you
so
know,
much of the '80s for me was like Robert Zemeckis, and then like John Hughes, and then of course all the action actors. But I
right,
mean, you go back. That's the prolific '80s growing up. A lot of it
right.
was Zemeckis, especially with Back to the Future, because it hit so big.
Oh, dude, yeah. And in fact, when you really think about it, Tales from the Crypt, if you go through just the producers of that show, I don't know. Have you ever got the chance to do that, Jeff?
No, not yet, but I'm
Oh,
gonna dive
do
in
you
real soon.
do you want to be shocked?
Throw some at me. Throw
All
something at
right,
me,
here we
man.
go. We got Gilbert Adler,
Okay, I'm not ringing a
Alexander
bell.
Collett,
Okay.
Richard Donner,
Oh, okay.
David Giller, Walter Hill, Michael Hirsch, A.L. Katz, Scott Nimfro, Robert Piragi, Ed Rosen, Robert Zemeckis, and Joel Silver.
Jesus.
Those were the producers for
That's
Tales
a
from the
hit
Crypt.
list. That's a hit list.
That's, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it's like, okay, who made everything that you love?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Nobody else, just them.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty fucking insane to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy who brought us Superman is right in there.
yes,
So, yeah.
exactly. It's incredible. Sure, it wasn't the best Superman, but I mean, he didn't bring us Dean Cain by any means. But I
No,
mean,
he brought us the best Superman, but we don't want to get sidetracked.
right. David says this episode's full or is the stuff that dreams are made out of. Um, yeah. See right here, or as the Crypt Keeper calls it, Hack to the Future and Fierce Gump. Yes.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
yeah. And I'm not sure about this. He said, I read that Robert Ratchet was originally going to be part of Jake Yates' trilogy, which started with the classic film Chinatown. And he says, Joel Silver played the director in the opening, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit? He yells at a driver for getting his lines wrong. Yep. And yeah, I mean, those producers are fucking incredible, though. But
Insane.
yeah. So with this right here, we also got the screenplay for this one being done by Al Katz and Gilbert Adler, both big producers for the show. So the writers and directors for this episode are all very, very big producers.
Yeah.
Now let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of this cast. So first off, we get Humphrey Bogart. Then obviously it was very hard for them to get Humphrey on this episode, but they were somehow able to manage it. I don't know, what was that, like almost 40 years after his death?
Yeah. About 40 years after his death, I was reading up on it.
Right. No. It was just archive footage, and not only archive footage, but with Robert Sacchi in there, who looks extremely similar to him. I'm sure they did a little bit of stuff there too. I know he
Yeah.
did the voice, but I wouldn't be surprised if they used his likeness for a little bit of the other shit too. Um,
Yeah, I know
yeah,
they did
is a
use his likeness, and then like there were some dummy shots where they imposed Bogart's face, but it was mostly him with just some tweaking here and there.
right. We also get Isabella Rossellini.
Yes, Isabella Rossellini.
God damn, some of these names are gonna fuck me up today. I mean, she's been in a ton of shit too, man. I mean,
Yeah, I mean prolific.
oh,
Really, when you look at the list, you're like, oh, she's been in damn near everything.
oh yeah. I mean, well, she's been acting since like the '70s, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, what I'm trying to think of some of the stuff that I remember her, or things that maybe even I would notice her and like she did a lot of stuff that, like, I'll be honest, is just not for me. A lot of
right.
TV shows, a lot of yeah, just things that just really weren't made for me personally.
Yeah.
Let's see, Empire, Earthsea, Infamous. She was on 30 Rock a little bit. The Phantom. She was in the TV
Hmm.
miniseries. I much prefer the film. I think I'm the only one who's ever said that.
I have yet to sit down and watch the Phantom movie or series.
Oh, really? You're not missing a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
It's
regardless,
one
she
of
has
those
been in
things
the.
I a
I'm
lot of
listening,
shit.
right?
Oh, I said
Um,
she's been in a lot of shit.
oh yeah, definitely. Now we also got John Lithgow in this episode. The great John Lithgow, as he should be referred to. Probably best known for shows like Third Rock from the Sun. I'm gonna say. I mean, at least that's a big one for
Hmm.
me
Yeah.
personally. Dexter. I mean, he did such an incredible job on Dexter.
Ooh,
I mean, it's hard to.
that's
I mean, his role on Dexter was one of those things where you see that and you're like, you end up having so much more respect for him as an actor after seeing a role
oh
like
yeah.
that.
It's
Um,
just an amazing performance.
oh, dude, yeah. But I mean, that's not all he's done though either. I mean, we got what, Harry and the Hendersons.
Hmm.
He worked on Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, the radio drama back in the '80s. He did the
Oh
voice of
wow.
Yoda, if you remember that. I
Huh.
didn't
I
I
did
have
not even know
copies
that
of it,
existed.
but oh, you didn't? Oh, dude,
No.
yeah. It took me a while to find it, but I do have it. We got him. He was also in Twilight Zone, the movie. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. I mean, god damn, he's been in so much shit. It's fucking insane.
So
Manhattan
much.
Project, Out Cold, Ricochet. What else is it? Raising Cain, The
Hmm.
Wrong Man, Cliffhanger. Obviously, Tales from the Crypt. He kept doing, the Star Wars radio drama shit. By the way, it wasn't just a one and done type thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What else did he do? Um, he did the. I don't think he. Oh yeah, he was. He was Lord Farquaad in Shrek.
Hmm.
So you got that. Clearly, I care a lot more about him than almost everybody else we've talked about.
I mean, don't
The
forget the
planet.
Campbell soup commercials.
Yes, Campbell Soup. The Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This is 40. I mean, I could probably go on for quite a while. I mean,
Who's Your Daddy 2? I mean, he was the best part of the Pet Cemetery remake.
I mean, he might have been the only thing good in the Pet Cemetery remake.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a discussion for a different time.
Yeah. We're not talking about
Who
that.
else do we got in this episode? Um, I mean, you get archive footage of Alfred Hitchcock in the beginning. Sherilyn Fenn is in this episode as
Hmm.
Erica, who's a very small role there too. But she's been in quite a bit of shit as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
Mice and Men. She was in Twin Peaks. I know her mostly from Twin Peaks personally,
That's exactly where I know her from.
right? I do know she did an episode of Titans too,
Hmm.
but that's the
All
only
right.
DC thing that I ever watch. So I mean, it's the
I
only thing that
haven't.
DC's made that hasn't been fucking garbage. But that's my
I was a
opinion.
big Arrowverse guy, but that's to each their own.
Right? No, no, I get it. Now let's see here. Chuck's chiming in here. This is a fun episode, weird one, but a good one. Hey guys, hey Chuck. Hopefully you're doing well.
What's up, man?
Definitely an odd one. And yeah, you're right there. And yes, he was. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to sit there like I said. I could talk about John Lithgow for fucking hours. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not fair to even start that conversation because it won't end.
Yeah. Exactly. I
I
mean,
mean.
His
This
middle
isn't
name should
Tales
be
from the John
Prolific.
Lithgow.
Well, wait a minute. There's the follow up podcast. Let's do it.
Right, the follow up.
There's the spinoff.
Jeff and Justin sit down and talk about John Lithgow for 10 years. Oh my god. That So anyways, we're going to talk about this episode a little bit. Now, the plot synopsis for this one is plastic surgery makes a criminal look like Humphrey Bogart. Years later, he's a successful businessman. His angry wife finds out about his past and threatens him. He asks his plastic surgery friend to end her. Twist after twist ensues. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's definitely a Tales from the Crypt thing, twist after twist.
Oh yeah.
But you know, we get this our main character there. Goddamn, what the fuck is his name? Lou, right? Yeah, it's Lou. And you know, clearly, he's a very successful businessman. Gets a phone call. He's under distress. Ends up having to leave. Basically, there's been an issue that happened, and you can tell pretty quickly he's trying to make sure or trying to get his wife killed. And things don't work out the right way. His wife ends up teaming up with his, you know, kind of friend. You know, we learn really aren't that great of friends.
Yeah.
And plastic surgeon and go to kill him. And I honestly think that they have a kind of a love story going on there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because they don't really care about the life insurance or anything. Don't get me wrong; she's probably still going to get a decent amount of money.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like that like he's a plastic surgeon. I mean, he probably still had a good amount of money himself for them to live comfortably.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm certain of it.
you know, yeah. And you know, we also get the small twist of Lou being in a little thing there with Erica as well, which I mean doesn't really get to play out too well. It's played out more for the ending, which spoiler alert, you know, we end up getting Lou killed pretty quickly with the statue, and then getting to see this entire episode through the eyes of a dead man who's not dead and also is narrating. Well, he is dead, but I mean, it's hard to explain. Watch the episode. It's on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
And if you watch it on YouTube, check it out over at Crypt Incorporated. Basically, watch his versions because they're good. The rest are fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And John, you're welcome for that little promo there. You know, I love you, man. Now, to keep going on with this episode, at the end there, his girl kind of comes over. And, I mean, you can tell she kind of plays it off stupid. Isn't really paying attention while using her humongous cell phone to call the police. She ends up getting shot. And after being shot, it goes through the windshield after going through her, hits him, goes through his spine, causes him to fall onto the gear shift, causing the vehicle to move and run the other two over. And we end up basically getting a crime scene at the end with the cops. And that's basically the entire episode. The comic book's a tad bit different. We don't really get a whole love triangle type thing. Instead, we end up getting a comic book that is still shot like a POV type thing, and a guy who's been hypnotically messing with somebody to get him to kill people. And he ends up like killing a murderer at the end. And it's a little bit different, but still kind of cool. I'd say it's actually pretty cool to get that whole POV type shot in the comic book, personally.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, but that's like the main crossover point of this episode as far as, you know, reading it and checking it out. Says this episode is actually a spoof of the classic 1940s movie called Dark Passage. I can actually see that. And some of the lines that Lou says are actually from, well, it's because it was archive footage. So with archive footage, that's how that works.
Yeah.
And
Archive footage was used for some of the lines, but then there were lines that the actor said because he looked and could sound like Bogart,
Robert Sacchi.
Which, when I looked him up and I saw the photos of him and how much he looked like Bogart, I was like, this is fucking insane.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they do look quite a bit alike. That's for sure. But then again, I mean, what do you have to do to really look that part? I mean, it doesn't
True.
seem like his like. It wasn't like he had extreme facial features, you know. It wasn't like you were
True.
watching something. It's like, oh my god, that guy looks exactly like Michael Berryman.
Yeah, that would be definitely like, oh shit, okay, that's weird.
You know
Like,
what I mean?
it's just one of those
There's a
things.
difference.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that 40 years later they go to make this and they're like, we had the idea of Bogart. And they're like, oh hey, there's this guy who looks like him. Let's get him. Like,
Right. Well, I mean, it's 40
okay,
years later. I mean,
yeah,
realistically, and not trying to sound like a dick, but if he would have had kids, I mean, they probably would have looked like him as well. You know, I mean,
yeah.
it's, I mean, you're putting a lot of time in between there, and like, I just feel like it's one of those things where, like, yeah, he looks a lot like him, but I get this weird feeling that there's probably a lot of people that have that look.
There,
You
there
know,
probably is, but nobody that maybe possibly nobody that was acting at the time when they went to do
right?
this.
No, yeah, yeah. I mean, I look at especially somebody like Humphrey Bogart, like think about it, like how many Elvis impersonators were there in the early '90s?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know what I mean?
still to this day, go to Vegas, you'll see. I don't
Well,
know
yeah,
how
yeah,
many of
but
them.
I mean, even in the early thousands, dude, like there was this restaurant, like it was in a little town in Michigan where I lived at the time, but like I would go there, skip school, and eat breakfast with an Elvis impersonator. Like, you
Nice,
know,
nice.
yeah. But I'm just saying, like, you don't see them as out there
Yeah,
as you
it's
did
not as
before.
frequent. They've kind of isolated to one area.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they click up.
Yeah,
Fucking
they
Elvis
they do.
impersonators.
They do.
Oh yeah. So I have to ask Jeff, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you go first, man. What did you think about this episode, and where would you rate it, buddy?
Honestly, I really like this one. The POV experience was enough of a different feel for like your typical Tales from the Crypt episode. Even though I've only watched a few, even just your typical TV shows aren't normally shot this style, where the entire narrative is coming from this angle. So that was good for me. Knowing that this was right on the heels of Forrest Gump, so I think Zemeckis wanted to get as much out of that technology he was using at the time. And honestly, for 2023, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, yeah, they could clean it up a bit, and it would probably be just fine. But there's nothing too jarring about it.
You're talking about the archive footage
Yeah,
being
the archive footage, the
placed.
superimposition of like Alfred Hitchcock in there,
Yeah.
the CG imagery of like reflections on things. It
Right.
wasn't bad. It wasn't jarring. Like,
Right.
oh, that's
It wasn't
horrible.
as good as what they did in Star Wars, but it's still for that period
Right. This is
pretty
this is the
fucking decent.
groundwork for when we saw like Peter Cushing being in the more recent
Exactly.
Star Wars. And it's like you can see the groundwork being laid. And it's for 95, that's like pretty groundbreaking stuff right alongside of like what Jurassic Park was doing. So
Right.
that was cool to see, and then just John Lithgow being sort not really over the top, but just being that shit heel of a character. You think you can trust him, and then he just turns and is a villain.
Right.
And
No,
he
I
was just it
agree.
was just fun. You know what? I'm giving this a full like 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, whatever you want to call
Nice.
it.
Nice.
Yeah, I had
Yeah,
a lot
10
of
out of
fun with
10.
this.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, IMBD gives it a 7.5, which I mean, for Tales from the Crypt episode is pretty good. And, well, I'm kind of taking something you said and like going full circle with it real quick. You were talking about Peter Cushing.
Mm,
It's the same Peter Cushing from the 1972 Amicus film Tales from the Crypt, which is one of my all-time favorite movies.
it's a good
But
one.
oh yeah, have you seen the original?
I have.
Ooh, did you watch Vault of Horror as well?
I did watch Vault of Horror more recently in the last years, but the original Tales from the Crypt I have seen. I've seen it once, so I can't remember a whole lot, but I know Cushing was in it, and
Oh, I love it. It's so good. It
I got to
is
revisit it.
good. I strongly suggest it. Let's see. David says the line says Lou says Betty on the phone, you'll never understand me. I'll try once and give up is actually a line that Sam Spade said in the Maltese Falcon. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, though, it's just a lot of the lines that were even put in there for him were archive footage. So it was sound clips that you already heard before. It was, picture that you've already seen before. And like I said, me and Jeff both kind of agree on it. Like for being, especially what 1995,
Yeah,
they did a pretty fucking good job with it for sure.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
yeah. Now, I
I'm
mean,
not complaining.
also for 1995 and this being shot the way that it was, I mean, I think having an episode with that POV kind of shot is kind of cool, especially being shown through the eyes of somebody who is dead. I thought it was a pretty interesting take on it. I thought it was a lot of fun. John Lithgow is always somebody who's amazing to see on screen. He's always you never see that dude on screen do anything and like, oh yeah, he fucking half-assed it. It's like no,
Never.
that guy. It's like he always puts 100% into every fucking thing he does, and I mean the little projects or even the big projects. He's always somebody who, when I see him, I always get a little bit of excitement there because it's like,
Hmm.
okay, I know at least his parts are going to be good.
Right.
So, and he never disappoints. Um, I'm not going to go as high as you do on this episode. I'm going to still go pretty high though for me. Say like 8.5, 9 for this episode.
Hey, that's still
Um,
respectable, man.
I mean, to be fair, you haven't dived deep into here, so like, I
Exactly.
mean, you haven't seen some of these episodes in season 2 that are just like, holy fuck, that was fucking amazing. And I try to keep all my comparisons on the level of just Tales from the Crypt.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's overall still a really good episode. It's worth watching. I will say that I personally believe that the episode was better than the comic book on this one, but I thought it was just a little bit more thought out. But then again, with having all the producers basically really working in on this episode, they
Right.
tried to make it the best they could, especially after this season, because I believe the production gets switched over and sent over to the UK for the last season, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
interesting. And I'm not too super excited about that. But, it is coming. Talking about not being very excited for stuff, I'm also going to tell people that the next episode is a film because we are done with season 6. So we got to talk about a movie here, guys. Said movie is a Tales from the Crypt movie that nobody wants to talk about and nobody wants to watch because the ritual is a piece of shit. But it has to be done. I did promise that I would be doing this all the way through.
It's funny you bring up that that's the movie you're going to be doing because after I watched this episode, I was digging through, all the clips that were on the YouTube channel, and I
Yeah,
found all of the Crypt Keeper segments from Ritual. And
they're
dude,
added in way later.
not only
You,
that, like they got a Goodwill Crypt Keeper puppet for that because there's no articulation whatsoever. That
well, you guys
that was the
for
jankiest looking thing. I mean,
well
you look
here.
back at the 95 puppet in the show, and there's articulation, the lips are moving, there's movement in the face. All this was just movement in the mouth and the eyes rolling. I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Well, yeah. I mean, so here's how this kind of happened. So first off, the Tales from the Crypt presents Ritual. I mean, technically, is a film that came out in 2002. Um, Now there's a weird release date thing there between 2002 and 2006. So I mean, there are some small issues that happened in
Yeah,
this movie clearly for it to have two different big release dates like that. Now, along with that being said, the last season of Tales from the Crypt was aired in '96, which means more than likely recorded in '95. So, I mean, you were talking about a minimum of 7 years really in between. So, I
yeah,
mean, I don't know if they even had the same Crypt Keeper or if this was one of the older ones from like season one that they used. But
Yeah.
we're gonna be getting into it. I'm gonna do some deep diving and try to figure out as much as I can about it so I can really shit on that movie because it's not my
Yeah.
favorite. I
I
mean,
I have not taken the jump to watch it. I What I know about it is that it's bad. The Crypt Keeper segments were added in later because this wasn't originally a Tales from the Crypt movie. They just figured let's
no.
kind of use it.
Well, it was basically
It's like
the exact opposite of the
of the Frighteners,
Frighteners.
right? Yeah.
So the Frighteners was supposed to be a Tales from the Crypt movie, and then they're like, you know what, this movie can do pretty good by itself. We'll just release it. Well, the Ritual, like, we're gonna have to do something to make this a
Mm,
little bit better to get it to sell. Let's put the Crypt
yeah.
Keeper in it, and then
Didn't really help any.
no, it did not. But I mean, it could be much worse. Um, not really sure how, but I'm sure there's certain things that can make it worse than it is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
yeah, but I'll talk about that
Yeah.
next week.
You'll get to all
I don't
that. I
want to
just had
talk about
to.
it next week.
Yeah.
I
I know you
don't.
don't, but
I really don't. But I'm not that excited for going into season 7 either. I mean, there's just so many. I miss season 2. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I miss season 2 and season 3
well, wait a minute. Weren't
a
you gonna
lot.
do a season two redux and have different guests on the show so you can get different
Just
opinions on
keep
season
going.
two?
Never get to season 7. All right, we're going to season 2, part 2, where we go through all of season 2 again.
There's some
Like,
new information we found out about all these episodes of season two. It requires a deep dive. We have to go
right.
back through it.
Oh my god. Yeah, yeah. So these episodes came out in 1990, and almost 35 years later, I am still learning more. So, new information just released.
Hey,
Right, right. No, no. But anyways, that's what's coming up on the show. I'm I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It should be interesting, or at the very least, the next venture shall be, because I mean, there's a lot that's going to be going on, and you know, I think I'm going to let the audience decide where the show goes after Tales from the Crypt. I mean, we got so many horror
nice.
anthologies to go with. I might help guide it and only give them certain choices.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
that's a dick move.
oh, well, no. To let's be honest here. There's some really good anthology stuff out there, and then there's
Right.
some that nobody should watch because it's just bad.
Well, yeah,
I
that
mean,
is true. I know that I do have a few friends of mine that really want me to do the Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and I mean, what? It's like 5 or 6 episodes.
dude, you do it, I will be here for it.
Yeah, you, Rod. There's a nice little group of people that are like, I want to be on
Yeah.
every episode. It's like, damn, I feel like I should probably just get that one out of the way pretty quick.
Shit, I may watch
But
it again tonight. I don't know.
I mean, you could probably watch it in like 2 hours, all of it.
Yeah, it's quick.
It's yeah, yeah.
I heard about it years. Just to be quick, I heard about it years ago on another podcast I listened to, and had no way of finding it because I didn't know where it was at. And then it shows up on Prime, and I was like, oh, this is it. And then watched it and just binged the entire thing. I was
Yeah.
like, that's it. I need more. Why isn't there more?
That's yeah.
Uh,
There's not a lot there. I will say, like, for me, it was a very interesting thing for me to get into this one because it came out in like what 04, 05,
mm-hmm.
and I remember watching this, and this is one of those things that I sought out because I don't know why, still can't explain it. Still love this actor, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime I see Matt Berry's name attached to something,
Yes.
I'm like, this is gonna be fucking hilarious. This
Yeah.
guy is funny, and I'll stick to it. I mean, he still hasn't let me down in the What We Do in the Shadows. So,
Oh, it's so good. I've just recently started watching the first season of that. I'm like halfway through, and
oh my god,
that his voice work on the Netflix animated Matt Groening series, I think it's Disenchanted, whichever one it is.
Yes,
This,
yes,
this,
yes.
yeah, he's good on that. His voice is just like, ugh, I'm like, how do you have this voice, man?
Yeah, he's very,
It's
very distinct.
he will never not entertain me.
I 100% agree with that, man. Um, Anyways, though, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you all for being a part of this. Sorry, a little under the weather today. Um, and want to thank sponsors, of course. Tell everyone to go over to talesfromthepodcast.com. Buy my comic book or go fuck yourself. Um, Yeah, I mean, I'm getting really good at promoting. I mean, people are really good at enjoy it. Like, yeah, buy it and go fuck yourself, man. Like, and remember, though,
Hey,
most importantly, man, check out Jeff over at the Skewered Universe Facebook page over on Twitter and as well the Instagram. So check him out there. You got anything that you want to add, buddy?
just we've been doing Giallo. We've got our last episode was New York Ripper, and I'm getting ready to record another solo episode here talking about the Black Belly of the Tarantula from 1971.
Nice,
So I'm
nice.
trying to find
Good
stuff that
choices.
I've never heard of or heard talked about anywhere. So New York Ripper I know has been talked about a lot, but I've never seen it,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
haven't heard anyone really talk about Black Belly of the Tarantula. So I
No.
was like, I'll dive in there.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, that's what we got coming up. I'm gonna record
I
that very
like that.
soon, and then actually we're gonna have Mr. Chuck, who made an appearance here earlier with a comment. He's gonna be coming on. We're gonna be talking some Argento. So a
Oh,
couple of cool
yeah.
things coming up real quick. Yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool, man. Hopefully, you guys have a good time, and hopefully, it turns out well. And I'll be checking it out.
Anytime I get to talk Argento, I'm a happy man.
Eh, I, I'm not gonna say anytime.
He's not for everybody, you know.
I mean, he's not.
Not everything he's done is great. I will admit that.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I fall on him. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like, he has a lot of shit that he's done, but he has a lot of shit that is trash too.
Yes. Yes.
One of the coolest things every time I think of Argento, though, and it doesn't go along with everything he does, but and I hope you are able to bring this up because I don't think Chuck will. But for some reason, I always attach Argento to Goblin,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and that is me personally. But maybe it's just more of my love of Goblin than Argento, where I think Goblin ends up making any Argento movie better.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you have those two together for a film, you hear Goblin, you immediately go, "Oh yeah, okay."
It's like
It
Burton and
just
Elfman. Would Burton be the same without Elfman?
exactly. Yeah, I've got all the scores from Goblin in a playlist on my phone to listen
Right,
to around Halloween time. So I'm a huge Goblin guy as well. So
right, yeah, yeah.
Argento and Goblin go together like peanut butter and jelly. Sardines and KY stuff like that.
What Argento movie are you guys doing?
Opera,
Really?
yes.
Hmm. I like Tenebrae a lot.
I have not gotten into those. The only one I've seen of the Mother's trilogy is Suspiria, but that was my first exposure to Argento. A friend of mine bought me this movie, the DVD of Suspiria, for my birthday one year. Was like, watch this before you watch anything else. She's like, the story may not be the best, but the visuals are beautiful. Watch it,
Yeah,
and she wasn't wrong.
right, right.
So
Well, anyways, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about that. Hopefully, it's a fun time. But we're gonna get out of here. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed everything we do. If not, I don't really give a fuck. But
yeah,
thank
like
you,
it or
Jeff,
fuck
for
you.
coming on. Yeah, exactly. Just
Anytime,
like the
anytime
guy.
you need me on, just say the word, man. I'm here.
All right. Oh, I appreciate that, buddy. So, with that being said, though, the crypt is closed.
Thanks for listening, kiddies. You're all a scream.